By the end of this video, you will be able to understand precedence when inline styling, internal style tag and external style sheet are applied together. Understand the ideal folder structure for any website. In the previous video, we discussed the three styling methods. Let's now see the precedence if all these styling methods are applied at once on a web page like this. That is, the order in which the styling gets executed. This is our HTML code in which we have applied all the three styling methods together, and this is the code corresponding to the external style sheet. The browser starts rendering the HTML from top to bottom, element by element. We have explained earlier that the head tag contains only some additional information that is not directly a part of the web page. Hence, the browser starts rendering the HTML from the body tag. For the h1 tag, the browser finds no inline styling as well as nothing in the internal style tag. So the styles mentioned in the CSS file for the h1 tag simply gets applied to it without any conflict. The browser then moves to the first p tag for which it finds no inline styling. But styles for the p tag are mentioned in both the internal style tag as well as the external CSS file. Hence we can see that the link tag, which includes the CSS file, is mentioned before the style tag. This means first the styling mentioned in the CSS file gets applied to the first p tag and then the styling mentioned in the internal style tag gets applied. So first from the CSS, the paragraph's text color becomes red, background color becomes sky blue and font size becomes 14 pixel. Then from the internal style tag, the paragraph's text color and the background color are overridden. The text color becomes black and the background color becomes pink, but the font size remains unchanged as it is not mentioned in the style tag. The browser then moves to the second p tag for which we have styles mentioned at all three places. Here also, the link tag is included first, so the styling from the CSS file gets applied first and then styling from the internal style tag gets applied. And then the inline styling overrides the internal style tag and external style sheet. So the second paragraph's font size becomes 14 pixel as the font size is mentioned only in the external CSS file and nowhere else. The background color becomes pink and the text color becomes brown. The brown color is from the inline styling as it overrides all the other styling. So to sum it up, we can say the browser renders the HTML document from top to bottom and element by element. Next, the styling, that is internal tag and external CSS, whichever is mentioned first in the HTML code, gets applied first and then the second. For example, in an HTML code, if the internal style tag is present first and then the external CSS, then internal style tag styling will get applied first and then the external CSS styling will be applied. And lastly, inline styling gets applied at the end and overrides the other stylings. So far, we know that to create a website, we create multiple files in our local, like HTML files, CSS files for styling, image files and many more. Now, let's understand the ideal folder structure to see how we can organize and place these files in our computer. As web developers, you might be working on developing several websites simultaneously. So, in our local, we create separate folders for each of these websites. We can name these folders as per the name of the website you are developing. I have used the name project here. Each of these folders acts as a separate project. Now inside this project, we have a separate folder for all the images, another folder for the CSS files, folder for the JavaScript files, and all the HTML and PHP files will be placed directly inside the project folder. Don't worry right now about the JavaScript files and the PHP files. We will cover them later in the training. For now, I just want you to understand the folder structure and how the various files are placed locally. Most importantly, once we place the CSS file inside the CSS folder, we need to link the CSS files like this and add this syntax in the HTML code. Up next is an exercise. Make sure you complete the exercise since in the quiz and module test, you might be asked questions based on this exercise.